The World Cup, invented in 1950 by the United Nations. After the end of World War II, the UN decided that the world didn't need some big-ass war to decide which country is the best. We can just have a nice soccer tournament every 4 years instead. Out of all the participating nations, Germany has certainly benefited the most from this change. They went 0-2 in World Wars, but have won 4 of the 17 awarded World Cups. Now I know what you're thinking, but Misinformed, you're Canadian. Why do you care about foot, grass, ball, hockey? A fair question, and yes, while I am Canadian, I also have some heavy Portuguese heritage. So passion for soccer is in my genes, and this genotype causes me to phenotypically lose it whenever there's a major soccer tournament going on. So obviously, the biggest soccer tournament in the world gets me right fucking going. For those of you who are out of the loop when it comes to the world of soccer, this video is going to give you a summary of the World Cup tournaments of the past, a preview to this year's World Cup, and a look into the future to see what wonders await us. Before we get into it though, the first thing you'll notice is that the World Cup trophy is not actually a cup, it's just a trophy with the earth on top. Being European in origin, lies and deception are part of the game when it comes to soccer, so just get used to it. Not much of note happened during the first 3 World Cups. Germany and Japan were banned from participating in the first one because everyone was still mad at them for a handful of things really. The second one was hosted in Switzerland, but they refused to participate because any form of competition goes against their staunch neutral mentality. And the third one was notable because 17-year-old Pele set multiple records that still stand today. The 1962 World Cup is where some interesting shit starts happening. This tournament was notable for its incredibly toxic atmosphere, general sense of hatred and anger, and unnecessary levels of violence. It turns out the things that make America great make soccer suck. This entire tournament can be summed up in one game, Chile vs Italy. This game holds the illustrious nickname of the worst soccer game in the history of soccer games, maybe ever. I'm gonna let my boy David Coleman give you his take on the game.
The game you're about to see is the most stupid, appalling, disgusting and disgraceful exhibition of football possibly in the history of the game. Chile versus Italy. This is the first time the two countries have met. We hope it will be the last.
This guy comes in with a Liu Kang flying dragon kick. This guy gets dropped with a clean left hook. I think this guy got shanked in the liver. In total, there were 4 counts of assault and battery, 1 assault with a deadly weapon, 2 arsons, 1 murder, and 1 conspiracy to trespass. After this event, the referee in charge of this game, Ken Aston, invented many staples of modern refereeing. The yellow and red card system for fouls, giving the sideline officials flags to raise when there's an offside rather than having to point at players and screech, a whistle to let everyone know the ref has something to say, and a watch so the ref can tell how much time is left in the game. Honestly, I'm not sure what referees did before all this stuff was implemented. They were essentially just a spectator who ran around the field with the players and yelled at them every now and then. Nothing much happened over the next 3 World Cups. The 1966 World Cup took place in England and black people weren't allowed to participate. The 1970 World Cup was the first to take place after color was invented. It was hot, black people were allowed, and it was in Mexico. And the 1974 World Cup happened. The 1978 World Cup was cool because it took place with the backdrop of a military coup in Argentina. The 1982 World Cup, nothing happened. In the 1986 World Cup, Canada made its first ever appearance and went undefeated in the tournament, winning their first World Cup. No, wait, my mistake. They lost all 3 games in the group stage and didn't score a single goal. My bad. Later on in the tournament, Diego Maradona, after being blessed by Lil B, scored a goal with his hand, which became known as the Hand of the Based God. The 1990 World Cup was boring as all hell, and Italy was banned from ever hosting the tournament again. The 1994 World Cup took place in the land of the free and was a great fucking time. The 1998 World Cup in France was won by the host country who fielded what became known as the Rainbow Team. They got this title because in celebration of the first ever Pride Month, France decided to field a team of only gay men. The World Cup Weeb Edition. K-pop and J-pop groups played during every single halftime throughout the tournament, all food vendors were dressed as maids, and a minimum of 700 seats were left vacant to make room for waifu pillows that some spectators brought to the games on a date. The 2006 World Cup in Germany was cancelled after the first group stage game between Portugal and the Netherlands. While this game didn't reach worst game in history levels, it was still pretty bad. Due to the changes implemented by Ken Aston 44 years ago, the referee of this game was more or less able to keep control by handing out 16 yellow cards and 4 red cards. After the Netherlands lost, the Portuguese players stormed the cup, stole it, and left the country, meaning the rest of the tournament couldn't be played. The 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Portugal was banned from competing in this World Cup due to their antics in the 2006 World Cup. In the final match between Italy and France, Zinedine Zidane headbutted the fuck out of Shut the fuck up! The 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Up until this point, there was a phenomenon plaguing the World Cup known as ghost goals. This occurred when unruly phantoms would interfere with the natural flow of the game and produce goals that otherwise would not have happened. The FIFA officials managed to capture these spirits and harness their ethereal form in order to create a disappearing ghost foam to mark off free kicks. Speaking of ghosts, after 60 years, Germany decided it was high time for another massacre, so they executed what could only be described as the soccer equivalent of a genocide on the Brazilian national team. Despite only occurring 4 years ago, and the fact that the Brazilian nation was almost entirely disbanded and distributed to its neighboring nations, there are people who deny the occurrence of such a massacre. On to this year's World Cup in Russia. Here are all the teams competing, and here are all the teams that have a chance of winning. The reigning, defending, undefeated champions of Europe are looking to also conquer the rest of the world. Iceland is going to look to have at least one major upset over a larger team. Take out France, Iceland. Do it. You know you want to. Fucking do it, you piece of shit. Internationally renowned choke artists, England will do well in the group stage and then lose in the round of 16 to Japan or something. Germany is going to continue being Germany. Brazil, after the dissolution of their original national team, has put together a team of cybernetically enhanced super players to compete for them. And Italy. Oh, right. The venues for this year's tournament are Moscow, St. Petersburg, Shirima, Kaliningrad, Kazan starring Shaquille O'Neal, Stalingrad, Sochi, Chernobyl, Rasputingrad, and Anadyr. On another note, ISIS is threatening to ruin everyone's World Cup experience. ISIS is also pretending it's still 2015 and that anyone gives a fuck about them. The terrorist group has released several images detailing their planned attacks. I'm prepared to show you one of them, but fair warning, it is horrifying. Holy fuck. Look at this. It looks like someone's second ever finished piece with Photoshop. This is unnerving. I cannot look at this anymore. Wait, is that Putin's face on the soldier? I didn't even notice that until now. Oh my fucking god. Anyway, this year's World Cup is gonna be great. I'm calling an easy Portugal championship win, obviously. Let's wrap this up with a glance into the future, the 2022 World Cup, which will be held in Qatar. The selection of Qatar was well received by all members of the soccer world, and FIFA chairman Sepp Blatter was heralded as a hero for doing nothing about the unethical bribery used to secure the vote to bring the World Cup to the Middle East for the first time ever. Now, as you might imagine, there are a few logistical problems with holding an outdoor sporting event in the Middle East. The first being that in the summer, the average temperature in Qatar is about 108 degrees Celsius. This is circumvented by hosting the tournament in the winter instead of the summer, and by harnessing any excess ghost energy in a cooling technology. With these two efforts combined, the average temperature inside of one of the soccer stadiums will drop to a cool 68 degrees Celsius. Another issue is that since Qatar is a country ruled under Sharia law, alcohol and gay people are illegal. This is a big problem because, as we all know, getting blackout drunk and homosexuality are cornerstones of soccer tradition. The current reigning Caesar of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamid al bin Khalifa bin Abdullah bin Jassim bin Mohammed al Thani, has been generous enough to compromise on this issue. For the duration of the tournament, inside and around the stadiums will be designated degeneracy areas with enough yeast water and sodomy for all to enjoy. And the 2026 World Cup will be hosted by Mexico, USA, and Canada. And that's it. The past, present, and future of the— oh shit, I forgot about the Women's World Cup. Canada has a really good team, but they choke out every World Cup. USA and Germany are the best teams overall, and Best Korea has a top 10 women's soccer team. Okay, now that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and are now fully prepared to watch the nation you're cheering for destroy any sense of patriotism you had with their poor athletic display.